record something real quick. So, yeah. Is this the background that I want? I don't know. Who am I? I have no idea. But we're doing it. Hey everyone, my name is Giselle, co-host of the Strong Sunflowers podcast and founder of G is for Growth. And this is my first YouTube video. We are doing it. Ooh, jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. We are doing it. I am so excited because I've been wanting to become a YouTuber forever. And finally, this December 31st, I literally, G is for Growth just came to my mind and it's like, I have to do this. So I took December 31st to make my YouTube account, my Gmail, my Facebook, my Instagram, the theme, everything on Canva, everything's ready to go. G is for growth, G is for grace, G is for everything. And I just did it. And then I was working so hard and so, like, with such a purpose, a vision that it was like 11 p.m. and I was like, oh crap, I need to go get dressed and get ready for New Year's. So yeah, this whole vision just came to me literally 10 days ago. And I just been really sticking to it. And I'm really excited to be making my first YouTube video. And the vision that I'm seeing for this episode, this YouTube channel, this connection between you and I, is all about growth. Literally, G stands for growth and growth in all aspects of your life. So if you don't know, now you know. And if you didn't know, my co-host Santa, hey Santa, and I have a podcast called The Strong Sunflowers. And it's all about motivating people to live life more authentically. And that is really true to my heart. And we help people do just that in all aspects of their lives. So kind of G is for growth is kind of that same concept. If you're all about growth mindset, self-love, self-care, travel, growth, all of those things, that's what this platform is for. And also check out the podcast episodes because they're gold. They're golden. I have learned so much from doing the podcast and interviewing people and bringing them to the field and just understanding and getting new perspective of other topics. So go follow us on that. We're on all platforms, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, all that stuff. But today, what I'm bringing to the field is how I got out of debt and how I paid over $15,000 in credit card debt. And before I jump into that story, make sure you subscribe and you like and do all the things. But I have to tell you guys how it all started. Like, how did I get into 15? That might not sound like a lot because I know some people are in more debt than that, but $15,000 of debt, credit card debt at that. So let's jump into that story real quick. So story time. Let me get comfortable for this one. So I've actually been going to therapy, and therapy has really helped me understand the origin story. So back in the day when I was going to college, I was getting my bachelor's in biology as a pre-med student, and it's stressful. It's stressful. And at the same time, I had just gotten married. I didn't know how to be a wife and pursue my goals in my career and all those things, and be in a relationship because I had married my first boyfriend. That's a story for another day. But I was just new at everything. I was doing 100 things new, and it was a lot. And I fell into a pattern where now knowing, growing up, I'm from Cuba, and growing up, usually if we spoke up or gave our opinion, that was seen as disrespectful. That was seen as, oh my gosh, you're talking back. So my family, hey family, really repressed my emotions, and I usually just take it. And that was my personality back then. You know, I didn't set boundaries and I didn't say no. I just went with it. So I applied all that I knew to my marriage and to school and to that, and being submissive and not talking back or pointing out the things that really bothered me, which don't recommend. 0 out of 10, don't recommend. And I just started really getting really anxious, depressed, all of the above, because I was overwhelmed. I didn't really know how to move from overwhelmed to thriving in this new chapter of my life. And that led me to vacations. I fell in love with traveling. And mind you, my first vacation was after graduating high school. And then I got married. And then stress. And then I'm reading Atomic Habits right now, and it talks about how we form a habit. My habit was like, oh my gosh, I'm hella stressed. But you know what took the stress away? A vacation. A vacation. So yeah, I bounced that ass to a different country because I had it. So it led me to this cycle of working, going to school, being stressed, booking that flight, that vacation, going for a week, like being stress-free, and then coming back home and paying my things, my bills with my credit card, or just not having any discipline and just buying whatever and then using my credit card for it, and then working to pay my credit card and not seeing the money in the bank because I'm still living paycheck to paycheck, and that would stress me out. So then I was so stressed I would need another vacation, and then I would take the vacation that I couldn't afford but pay with it with my credit card, and then like the wheel just continued. I just used a credit card, paid some of it off, spend it again because I was so stressed and I really needed a vacation. I need it. So that's how it all started, and that's how I got $15,000 in debt. Don't recommend it. So now we can jump into how I got out of debt. So my tip number 1 to you is educate yourself. I started educating myself when it comes to finances back in 2020. 2020, game changer. The pandemic, game changer. G is for game changer. It really made me take a look at my life, and I'm like, what the hell? What the hell am I doing? I'm literally working to pay for this debt and keep working, and then I have nothing to show for it. And then COVID came, and I was like, I don't even have a job. Like, damn, I don't even have a job. So my first advice to you is educate yourself. I found Dave Ramsey, which you need to go find. You need to go follow, like, share, subscribe, all his thing. He's all about debt-free community and how to get there. I read his book, Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover, and amazing. 10 out of 10 recommend. But he has 7 baby steps to get you out of debt. And the number 1 step is to kind of like write down all your debt. Write down everything that you owe. Write down everything that you need to pay. And I actually have my little book right here because I kept record. And I remember it was, I don't know if you guys can see, but it was 2020. Oh my gosh. Oh, there we go. It was 2020 and 127.20, and this is all my debt, and my total debt together was like $20,000. $20,000. Okay, throw that in the trash. But tip number 1, the first baby step is to take all your debt, write it down, just be true with yourself. How much do you really owe? Because if you just like, oh, I owe a little money, I'm going to pay a little bit here, a little bit there. No, be 100% true with yourself. I owe 20 grand, and that's my truth. And 15,000 of those were credit card debt. So tip number 1 was to do the snowball effect. You write down your debt, you put your toughest debt, like for me, it was my car. My car was like the one that I owed the most. And then credit cards, I had like a lot of credit cards, like 4 credit cards, I think. And they all had different balances, of course. And I wrote it all down. Then you put the smallest debt up in the top and then the biggest debt in the bottom. And you work that way. And you do the snowball effect. You work on your first debt, the smallest debt. Oh, I owe $100 on my Macy's card. Put that first, work towards that goal, scratch it out, and then work to the second one. And then just like a snowball, you're gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger, but then you have already accomplished all of those other debts. What I was doing before is I was starting with my biggest debt and trying to work my way back. But when we start with our biggest debt, we don't see the change. We don't see it because I'm over here working my ass off and I'm like, bruh, this debt is still hella big. Like, this debt is still a lot. But when we work with the snowball effect, it really helps us because, damn, I really accomplished that. I paid $100 for this credit card and now it's at 0. No balance. Woo! And then don't use it, of course. Don't use it. Another thing that really helped me was reading. Again, educate yourself. I read The Millionaire's Mindset. Oh my gosh, game changer. The biggest thing that I took from that book is that we all have a money blueprint. And we get this money blueprint usually from our parents or the people that surround us. Growing up, my parents always said, we don't have money. What do you think? Money grows on trees. We're poor. We're broke. My mom still has this habit of like spending money she doesn't have. 0 out of 10, don't recommend. But that can go either one or two ways for us. We can either become just like our parents or become the total opposite. For me, at that stage of my life, I had become like my parents. My mom in a toxic way, because growing up, they always told me there's no money for this. And then I got to a point that I was like, there is money for this. We're going to make it happen. We is going to make it happen. I don't care how it's going to get done, but I'm going to swipe this credit card. Swipe it. We're booking the flight and I'm getting the hell out of here. And mix that with some depression. It's chaos. It's an atomic bomb ready to blow everything up, blow your whole life up. But yeah, I found that my blueprint was to spend money because I didn't view money as it being in abundance. I definitely was living paycheck to paycheck just like my mom because money doesn't grow on trees. Money is not around me. Money is not in abundance. So I really had to change that mindset. And now my friends think I'm crazy, but my mindset when it comes to money is like, money is obsessed with me. Money needs me. Money wants me. Like money wants to be in my bank account. Money wants me to spend it. Money wants me to be around it. And that's how I truly look at life. Like money wants me. Like you'll never catch me saying, oh, I need money. No, money needs me. And changing that mindset and learning about financial literacy and knowing why you're doing the things that you're doing, really game changer. And then from 2020 to 2021, 2022, I really worked on that and my mindset started to change because now, yes, I was saving and I was out of debt, but I still had that money is not in abundance mindset, which was from my parents. So I had to really change that to now be like, I have like 4 saving accounts, but now I'm leveling up to the point of like, okay, money's in abundance and I need to invest this money because I don't want to be like, oh my gosh, this money is mine. I got to hold it. I don't know when it's coming back. Like, no, I need to invest it so it can work for me. The goal is to have the money work for us. And once you understand your money blueprint, then when you get out of debt, you will stay out of debt. And that is the goal. Another big tip that I have for you guys is called my infamous money diet. I tell my friends that I'm on a money diet and they're like, what the hell is a money diet? A money diet is when you are trying to save money and also be on a diet because I'm trying to look good. I'm trying to eat healthy. I am trying to do what's best for my body. And if I'm trying to lose weight or gain weight or whatever it is, that takes money and that takes time. So I say I'm gonna be on a money diet. So when I'm in a money diet, I go to the store and it really makes your brain think of like, okay, how can I save money and still do what I need to do? So when I go to the store, let's, for example, grocery store, I go in, I'm like, okay, I know that I need to eat and I need to eat food that's gonna fuel me. Not like buy cookies and crackers that I'm gonna be hungry 2 minutes later. I need to get food that's gonna fuel my body for the lowest amount of money. So what do I buy? I buy things like eggs. I buy things like rice, beans. I do splurge in like vegetables because why not? But I try to go to like the farmer's market for that. And then like strawberries, again, farmer's market, so I can make my fresh smoothies in the morning. But besides that, I stick with that. Rice, eggs, beans. Stop being bougie. Feed your body what it needs. And that's part of my money diet. I save money, but also like focus on the nutritious part of my body and cut out the fluff. Like I don't need to buy cookies. First of all, I'm wasting my money. And second of all, it's not feeding me and fueling my body the way that I need it to do. So I cut that out with my money diet. And then you start hustling. You'll be like, oh my gosh, like how can I get this without having to pay for it? Or like at work, I'll order food and I'm like, okay, I need to find coins in my cup to pay for this food. So if I use the coins, like I'll get the pennies, the nickels, the dimes, the quarters, all of those things to pay for my food. And it's kind of like me not having to pay for it. So perfect. That works out. But yes, the money diet, I totally recommend. It's a life changer for me. And it really has helped me save money in those times like 2020 when I was trying to get out of debt and pay all my bills. I was using the money diet a lot because I didn't have money to be spending on food. And that really cut back on the spending that I was doing. And while we're talking about money diets, also in cahoots with the money diet and you learning about money and financial literacy, make a budget. Make a budget for what you want to spend on groceries, what you like, your monthly bills, and how can you cut those down. I started this I think 2021, where I was like, why do I have Hulu? Why do I have Netflix? First of all, and that's where the money diet comes in because it can help you in other aspects of your life. But I was like, okay, I need to cut back on my monthly expenses. I have Netflix, $12. Why am I paying for Netflix? And what does Netflix bring to my life? I spend hours on Netflix, watching Netflix when I should be doing other things. Like I have so many goals and aspirations. I don't really need Netflix in my life. So guess what? Netflix is out. I haven't had Netflix in forever. So it is what it is, but I'm saving $12 a month. Hell yeah. And little things like that add up. So create that budget, create that place, and then really stick to it, commit to it. Because I know you want to go get that Starbucks coffee, but do you really need a $6 coffee? You don't. Because if your goal is really caffeine or have energy or whatever, if you're buying the food that gives you that, you'll have the energy. But if you're on your money diet and you're like, okay, I really need coffee, like you're that type of person, you can make coffee at home. You don't need to spend $6 to $7, $8 at Starbucks. You don't. So stick to that and commit to it once you make your budget. And I promise you, you will get further into what you're doing, especially in your snowball effect that we talked about earlier. One thing that I would do is still spend the money on those things. So gotta lie to yourself sometimes. So if for me, for example, back then, I would love going to Chick-fil-A. I love Chick-fil-A. So I would pretend that I would be going to Chick-fil-A just like I would normally do. And those $7 to $8 that I would spend in Chick-fil-A, I would put it in my savings or automatically pay for debt. So if I'm working on that specific debt for that time period, I would take those $8 that I would spend at Chick-fil-A and I would pay my credit card with it. And every time, knowing that I would go to Chick-fil-A for 5 times a week, 5 times 10 is $50. That's $50 going to my credit card payment or that debt that you're trying to get rid of. So I would lie to myself. Like, oh my gosh, I really want to go shopping. You're not really going, but you're going to use the money that you would use for that and then apply it to your debt. So that's a little trick that I use with myself. And it really worked. I mean, sometimes you got to lie to yourself. And talking about staying to your budget and committing to your budget, let's talk about delayed gratification. Because that's something that I applied this whole time during this period of getting out of debt and paying off my credit card. What I was doing before, again, I was depressed. I would take the vacations. And then I would always say, live your very best life. And my definition of living my best life has changed a lot since then. Living my best life is having a life that really suits me and doesn't bring me stress. I don't want to come back from vacation and be hella stressed. For what? Why? I don't want that. So now when I go on vacation, it's a whole game changer because I worked on my mindset. I worked on my habits, my spending habits, why I spend them, and being honest with myself about it. So now I go on vacation and my vacation's paid for before I even get there because I have a budget for that. I budget it into my life. And 10 out of 10 recommend. Once you get out of the horrible place of that hamster wheel, then the magic really starts, the blue moment. And delayed gratification, I'm still trying to implement that in my life now because once you get out of debt and you're like flourishing, then you're like, oh my gosh. Like, I think last year I went everywhere. I went to Peru, I went to Hawaii, I went to Europe for my birthday, I went to just all the places. I took 2 months off, but that's because I got in a car accident. So I didn't want to take the time off, but I did have the ability to take the time off because I had saved, because I have done these baby steps that I told you about in my tip number 1. So 10 out of 10 recommend. 10 out of 10 recommend. But yes, delayed gratification is gonna save you so much. And once you learn to have that discipline with yourself, all these tips you can apply into all aspects of your life. And then you'll really be growing, right? G is for growth. You'll really be growing and understanding why you do the things you do. And last but not least, my last tip that I have for you guys is to have multiple sources of income. You need multiple sources of income when it comes to getting out of debt and staying out of debt to get you to that part that you're comfortable in and then flourishing. When I say, when people hear multiple sources of income, it's like, oh, I'm just a regular person, I can't do that. Yes, you can. It doesn't have to be a business and you have to have this business idea. No, it can be something real simple. So that last step, what I did, I started this journey in 2020. So I worked as a server and that was my primary income to pay all my bills. But that wasn't giving me the get out of debt fast track that I wanted to be in because I did have the bills. And that salary only gave me enough to pay for my bills and then pay a little extra for my debt. So I needed to get another source of income. So I started as a scribe. I was a scribe at the hospital. Like I said before, I'm a pre-medical student and I worked at the ER in the emergency room during the pandemic. So much fun. But I use that as like supplemental income to pay for debt. So all that income that I made from that one job went directly to my debt. Another thing that I did, because as a server during the pandemic, I live in Florida. So Florida, we lit over here. They're like, open it up. But the 2 months that we were closed, working at the restaurant, I'm like, okay, now I don't have a job. So I really had to talk to myself and say, I have to become an essential worker. So I remember I got a job at Walmart. You guys, 0 out of 10 recommend working at Walmart. If you're already depressed because of the pandemic, Walmart is just gonna make it worse. Everybody there hated their life. And it really got me into a dark space. I was already in a dark space, but it just got me even into a darker space, which is good. It was bad and good at the same time. So I was like, Giselle, how can I bring my light into this space? Because I'm not a negative person. I am light. I am vibrant. My aura is inviting and loving. And I was really in a dark space. So I changed, again, mindset. I changed my mindset and I came every day into work. Like, how can I motivate this person? How can I let them know that they are loved and cared for, even though they're at a job that they hate, and how can they change that? So I really came in and like started doing just that, talking life into people. And that was amazing in itself. But I remember I got my first paycheck from Walmart and I was like, I literally looked at it. And I looked at my manager and I said, consider this my 2-week notice. I gotta bounce his ass out of here. I had worked like 80 hours for $700. What the hell am I gonna do with $700? Like, because again, I'm used to not working hourly. I'm getting tips because I'm a server. So like, you can make a lot of money serving. That's another tip. If you don't really have a career path right now, like I want to be a doctor, a motivational speaker, grow the podcast to a business. And I'm working on it right now. If you are not working in your field of what you really want to do with your life, do serving. Do not do an hourly job. Do not do an hourly job. I've made like 100 grand, 90 grand just serving alone in side hustles. Like, that's almost doctor money. Don't do hourly jobs. If you can help it, don't do it. Don't do it. Serving, try to get the most money for your time, because your time is your currency. Work less, make more. That is always the goal. Number one goal. And you can definitely do that through serving. So I totally recommend serving. But yeah, I definitely put my 2 weeks in and I threw up the deuces. But then my restaurant opened back up and I was able to go back to work and make this money, because I'm like, oh. But I also implemented, so as you can see, working as a server, working at the hospital, I would work in the morning. So my shift started like at 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then I would work at the restaurant at 3 p.m. till like 10, 11 at night. We busy. We booked and busy over here. But then I also started babysitting. Babysitting, I love children, so maybe it's not for everybody. But I do love children, and if I can get paid for it, why not? So I also implemented babysitting in there. And you don't have to be a natty and certified. If you know people, you know people. Hey, I'll babysit. I charge $20. I think that's pretty cheap. With inflation, I need to raise my prices up, because I still babysit to this day. And do I need it? No, but it's extra money. And right now it's not going to my debt, but it's going to my savings account to buy a house, to do what I gotta do for vacations. Say less. I'll babysit your kid. Say less. But yeah, like charging $20, $25 an hour to babysit. You do that a couple of times a week, a couple of hours, that's $100. You do that every week, that's like $400 extra a month. That's someone's car payment. That's someone's insurance plus light bill plus phone bill, so hustle. Open your mind. What are you good at and what can you do to earn that extra money? So I definitely babysat. I did all those things. I worked at the hospital serving, and yeah, it got me to the point that I was using all those extra sources of income, because they add up. They add up. Even if you get like $500 here and $200 here, that's $700. So that's almost $1,000 extra that I could be paying for my debt. So do it. It's worth it. And once you get out of that hole and you get into that mindset, because it really became addicting. Like it really becomes addicting to get out of debt. Sometimes I'll be like, nah, I don't even need that. I want to use that money to pay for that credit card, because I wanted to see that number go down. I wanted to see it, and I recorded every step of it. So like I would write in here like every 6 months to see my progress, and to see from like the beginning of the year, which I was $20,099 in debt, to June 17th of 2020, and I was $15,761 in debt. And then we finally got to zero. Where's my little card? I don't know where my card is. But I had this little card that I wrote down each time I was down, until I finally made it to zero in all the categories. And it was amazing. And my last blue moment was paying for my car. Doing that last payment. Oh my gosh. I was like, I am debt free. This car is mine. And that was like the best, because I paid it 2021. Yeah, that was the best, because now you're truly, those $400, my insurance went down. Those $400 that I was paying for a car note, I could use them to do whatever, to put them in my savings, to save them to travel more. That's why I was able to travel more, because I was out of debt. So all that money that I was using to pay for debt, I could be using it to do things that I love without stressing about money. And again, that's the goal. That is the goal. But right now I'm in the aspect of my life, because I did all that work and because I learned, again, tip number 1, knowledge. I learned all that. Then now I'm Gucci, because I got into a car accident and some idiot like ran into me. I was at a red light and they destroyed my little Sylvia. I had a Toyota Corolla and they destroyed it. And my car was a total loss. And oh my gosh, I was so sad. It literally led me to depression. I was so depressed because I had worked so hard to pay for that car. Sweat, tears to pay for that car. And then I had to start over. And I had a lot of like who I was and like, yeah, I'm this person that gets out of debt and pays for her stuff and this is mine. Because I don't have a home. I don't have a family. Like I'm just a single 27-year-old trying to figure it out. And my car was like my baby. Like it's mine. It's mine. And when I lost it, it was a lot. It was a lot. And finding myself in this new car, I remember I went to the dealership and they're like, aren't you excited? You have a new car? And I'm like, hell no, I'm not excited. That's $40,000 of debt that I don't want. And I was so focused on that part, the debt part. I was like, oh my gosh, I was just debt free. And now I have 40 grand. But getting out of that depression and talking to myself and talking to my therapist and doing the podcast, the Strong Sunflowers podcast, learning from that, gathering all the stuff that I learned from when I got debt free the first time, I'm like, I can totally do this again. I can do this again. 40,000 is nothing. And I have been doing it again because I started my snowball effect again and I wrote down all my debt, and this is August of 2022, so last year, and I was at $41,149 with 73 cents. And now I wrote this in December 25th, 2022, so like a month ago, and I am down to $30,884. So we're doing the damn thing. So I know that these tips work, and I hope that you apply them into your life. I hope that you got something from this video. I hope that this video helps you grow, because that is the point, that is the goal. And please write down below what you learned from this video, what you're applying to your life. And if you really liked it, like, share, subscribe to your mom, to your cat, to your friends, all the things. And we shall catch you on the next one. Ciao.